Hey, everybody. All right.
Michael Gelkin,
So, Michael.
Dallas Mornings.
All right.
It seems like most weeks there are almost plays for Kevontae Turpin, maybe even more so this past Sunday night. Which one stood out most to you as like those ones where the margin was really narrow?
Yeah, gosh, the opening one was a big one. We thought we had something there, and he stumbled. I just think opening kickoff of the game, he might not have had his legs ready yet, but we thought we had a good one on the opener. That was the And then later in the game, we had the big one, and there was just a lot of cut back, and he kind of ran into our own guy, but that was a good one. In the punt return, too, where we had the holding called, it got called back, but we saw something on the picture, the one before, and we just tried to run like a different kind of return that set that up in the middle. So a lot of almost, and we just, didn't quite capitalize on a couple opportunities.
That said, the late first half 63-yarder, do you feel like that's something that your unit takes pride in, is at a time when there was a lot of sputtering, for the entire team,
Yeah.
to be able to get a jolt and get on the scoreboard because of it?
Yep. Yeah, we talked about that in the kickoff return huddle, the punt huddle. We were down by 10 and then 17. We got to get a spark going in the return game, or if we punt it, we got to go attack the football and try to get the ball loose. So when that game was going, we kind of do that every game, but when you get into those moments, like, hey guys, we got to make something happen here. Back up a couple of yards on kick return, and let's see if we can kind of get a big play or some better field position for our guys to get started. So that was definitely part of the discussions in the huddle, really, especially in the first half.
Watkins, Dallas Mornings. Along those lines, you were okay with Turpin. I think he fielded the punt at the 5, and normally I think you would say let that go.
Yeah.
So is that part of the reason why he was like, we got to get something here?
Yeah, great observation. I think if they're punting from inside the 50, you don't want to back up inside the 8, we put it. But I think the line of scrimmage was out by the 40-yard line. So he backed up to the 5 knowing that he was going to have a return opportunity. So, yes, that was, I think, a great decision he made. Back it up to the 5 knowing that I got probably at least 10 yards that I can go get and then see if I can earn some more to get us at least past the 20, which would have been the touchback line. So, yeah, we I wouldn't say play it more aggressively because I think we'd do that in any situation, but some more chances were taken.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio. Calvin Joseph had a couple of penalties yesterday, so a couple of negatives there. But overall, can you speak to the importance when you have he and CJ both drawing doubles?
Yeah, I mean, they draw a lot of attention for sure. And, the 2 penalties in the return game, one was a kickoff return where we double-teamed the guy and, we knocked him down and he got back up. Kelvin knocked him down again. And then when he was on the ground, he went in to keep him down and knock him down. There was nothing malicious or anything that was unsportsmanlike conduct. The referee told Kelvin he just had to let him up before he knocked him back down again. So it was really an outstanding block, So I just got to check with maybe the officiating on, we weren't pinning him down. We were just, every time he tried to stand back up, we just knocked him back down. And it looked like it was our hands and nothing to the head. So, and then the holding penalty, it's a really hard job that CJ and Kelvin do blocking the gunner singled up. He blocked him really good. I mean, and the guy kind of started to, I think their guy kind of started to die on the play and kind of started to spin and throws his hands up. And there's some acting that goes along with that where sometimes it influences the referees. And I'm not going to say it's a good or bad call, but I thought he did an outstanding job blocking the guy. It's a really hard job. I didn't see any jersey restrictions. There was a little bit of turning, and then he just shoved him away at the end. It was too bad because it was a big punt return. It got us out to about the 40-yard line. So, and I talked to Kelvin after the game. I saw him this morning. I talked to him. I just said, your play style and your intentional mindset of just playing hard is great, man. There was nothing you did that was sloppy or reckless. Just kind of part of the game, and they got you twice. And I don't think there was anything that was malicious by you or lack of technique. So it's too bad because it cost us some field position, but I love his brain and his play style.
Maya Taylor, Dallas
Hi, Maya.
News. What makes Noah Brown a good personal protector?
That's a great question. Noah Brown is sometimes a hard one to describe because there's a lot of great intangibles with him. He's tough, so he can step up in there like a running back would in protection and tackle big bodies coming in there in protection. He's very smart, so he can look at formations by punt return and know which way to send the snapper. So he's in charge of not only the timing of our punt and delivering the cadence to snap it, but telling the center which way he's got to go in protection, and then having the vision to play different looks and pick up his body that, there's a lot of crazy punt rush looks that he has to pick up, and he's just a very trustworthy guy, and he has really good hands.
Brett, against the Giants, the 59-yarder that he missed, it was just the line wasn't quite right with the wind in that stadium.
Yeah.
How about this most recent 59-yarder? What kind of was not just quite right there?
Yeah, gosh, we looked at it this morning, and there wasn't really anything. If we looked at it, even the TV copy, and it started right about right post, and usually Brett's ball, draws just a little bit back right to left, and it was going right at the right post, and it just leaked a little bit away from the post, which is not usually his ball turn. And he hit a great ball. I mean, it was a 59-yarder, and it probably would have been good from 65. So it wasn't wind. I think it was kind of an unexplainable hit. He hit it great. The sound was good. The operation was good. And usually that ball just kind of draws in, and for some reason it kind of just drew out. And we weren't able to come up with a good answer why.
We're 6 weeks into the season, and those 59-yarders are the only ones he's missed.
Yep.
And his touchbacks have been consistent, kicking off. What have you made of what you guys have been able to get from someone who really wasn't part of your training camp?
Yeah, that's a great question, Michael, man. I mean, our hopes were that he would be what he is right now, but it was for sure an unknown just for me, just because, like I said, we had him last fall for a tryout, then we had him in a four-man kind of gong show in training camp, and he was a winner of it, and just really proud of him. Really, Brian Anger's been a great holder for him. Jake was outstanding, kind of getting the operation going. Matt's kind of taken over, and I think he's got a lot of confidence in Brian as the holder for sure. And then his weekly routine kind of matches Brian's, and I think they kind of morphed it together where they kind of learned from each other. And so I can't speak to Brett's previous routine like on game week, but it just seems like he's really locked in and knows exactly what he needs to do on Thursday and exactly what he needs to do on Friday. And he comes out with index cards on Thursdays and says, here's my 16 hits. It's 24L, 27R, 16R, 37M. And so we just spot it all around, and we got a good routine going, and he's healthy, and I really hope he keeps it going. I'm sure he will.
How leery of you of the Lions? They're struggling a little bit. You had a kick return, had a 47-yarder, I think, in the ball game against the Patriots. How leery of you, like, hey, they're desperate here. Let's make sure that we're on point so they don't get a big score against us.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been looking at them all morning and all night too. It's kind of all bled together. Got in about 4:30 this morning and went right to the computer, started watching some tape. So, Coach Phip does a great job out there. They got some really good linebackers. They got a real nice punt returner. They've thrown quite a few fakes over the last couple of years. And again, desperation moments, and sometimes just, hey, we got one here moments. So they got some really good football players over there, and I wouldn't say we're leery of it, but I think we'll definitely be aware of how the game's going, whether we're ahead, whether we're a little bit behind, whether there's desperation or different looks involved. That they do a good job capitalizing. Like against the Rams last year, they activated a fake because I think the Rams were missing a body, and so they activated it and ran a sweep and got a first down. So being on point with substitutions and holding the edges and keeping an eye on the gunners is all a huge part of what we got to do to make sure we win the game.
One more follow-up on gunners and CJ and Kelvin each drawing double teams. Have you had it in your career where you have had two guys that draw doubles?
One year in Oakland, we had two really good gunners, Hiram Eugene and Tyvon Branch, and they drew a lot of attention when Leckler was the punter. But this is a good tandem. It's been probably, I've always respected and loved all the guys who have gunned for our punt teams, but these two guys are special. Kelvin and CJ are special. And if something ever happened to him, Deron Bland can gun. Nashawn Wright, who's been inactive, can gun. So we have a good stable of very able bodies should anything ever need to be replaced, which hopefully it doesn't.
You mentioned Maher's routine. Anything unique about it, or which part of it are really distinct based on the past kickers you've been around? Like, what did he bring to the table? Something that he likes to do that you thought, okay, let's do it, and you've kind of seen work in a new way that's a bit different for you.
Yeah, he's very efficient. So on Thursdays, he loves to do some situational field goals where we kind of move it around. I'll say, hey, it's we're down by 9 and there's 2 minutes left in the game, and we got to have it, or there's 4 seconds left in the game and we got to have it, or whatever it might be. So it's situational kicking, and it's very brief. It's not an hour-long workout where it's just kind of you're just slogging through it. It's very brief and very efficient. And then on Friday, it's more of just a much shorter routine and kind of just getting the legs swinging for Sunday. So Thursday is more situational. Friday is briefer and more just like kind of base stuff. Don't do a lot of kicking off just to preserve the leg throughout the season. But there's just a really cool plan by him, and I haven't brought too much to it, to be honest with you. It's been, what do you need? What has worked for you that you feel good about? And let's just do that with, Brian and Matt. And so hopefully it'll keep working. He's been doing pretty damn good.
John, excuse me, Babe Law from Cowboys Radio. If you have 3 kickoff returns and 2 are going to, ahead of time, 2 are going to get you out to the 15, but one's going to break to your own 45. So basically, it's a wash.
Yep.
Would you prefer 3 starts at the 25 with a touchback?
Yep.
How does that factor into?
That's a great question. You 100% you want the ball in play. So if you said, okay, there's going to be 3 kick returns, they can all be touchbacks, so you get the ball at the 25, or you get 2 that get you to the 17, 15, but 1 gets you to the plus 40, which equals the 25. Yeah, we have ball in play. We're playing for sure. I think it's like.
So you'll give up that, let's say, starting at 17, 18.
Yeah.
Typically, we're with the hope that you're going to be starting at your own 45.
Yeah. I would. I don't know if you ask anybody. It's the old question. I've always thought of this on. Let's say you got a great punt returner. Would you take no fumbles and no touchdowns, or 2 fumbles throughout the season and 2 touchdowns? The risk-reward type thing.
How do you answer it?
I'm taking the ball in play. I'm taking the touchdowns. But it's a great question, and I don't think there's a good answer, but it's fun to discuss. It's a great question.
With the way that kicking opportunities can come during a game where, your first kick could be a 50-yarder, your first kick could be a 55-yarder, does that make the situational work that Brett does important, to have it so that it's not just throughout the course of a week, starting at 24, 29, 34, and just going back, but he can kind of just sprinkle opportunities around the field? I
think that's part of it, Michael, is the challenge on a Thursday is to come up with, and it's a new set of index cards every week, just based off things that he wants to work on, the distance, the hash. And then usually I'll just kind of come up with the situation to kind of put it to life. Just to break a little monotony too. Just something a little different every situational Thursday, which is kind of fun to go in there. And we do the same thing with Brian. Brian's is more base Wednesday, situational Thursday. So it's different days because they just like to be kicking on different days, but kind of the same mindset. So it's a lot of fun. Coaching is a lot of fun. The work week is a lot of fun. Game days are a lot of fun. Maybe not as much when you lose and you get home at 4:30 in the morning. But football conversations are awesome. I think it's your guys' job to ask questions and critique, and it's my job to try to answer them as best I can. But it's all good football. I think I love talking football.
Likewise.
Thank you.